Good morning, everyone. Good Thursday morning to you. It is Thursday, the 16th of January, 2020. Yeah, we are in the double figures. Good morning again to those of you on radio. Yes, you're there with us. We've been having a good time with the music in the first hour. Yeah. And here we are now in the second hour. And it's time for our conversation. And we say good morning to those on GBN television and those of us who are joining us on the social feeds. That is YouTube, etc., etc., etc. I am Brenda. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And I'd like to say good morning to a very special person. But first, let me tell you a little bit about him. Let me tell you something about this wonderful gentleman that I have here with me. He is Dr. Augustine Panchu, and those of you from Tivoli might know him as Gus, so if you went to school with him. So he was born in the village of Tivoli in St. Andrew, and he received his elementary school education from the Tivoli RC School. Now, Dr. Panchu attended the Grenada SDA Comprehensive School. After graduation, he began teaching at Tivoli. So he tight to Tivoli, right? He also attended the University of the Southern Caribbean in Trinidad, and upon graduation with a BA in secondary education and social studies, he returned to Grenada and continued his teaching career at the Grenada SDA Comprehensive. In 1990, he attended the Lorna Linda University in California, and after completing his master's degree in family counseling, he returned to Grenada's SDA Comprehensive School as a teacher of family life education and social studies. In 1996, Dr. Panchu was asked to serve as a program director at the Youth Development Center, a position he held until the year 2000, when he chose to pursue his doctoral studies in the United States. Dr. Panchu is a graduate of the Chicago School of Professional Psychology with a PhD in clinical psychology. Now, while in the United States, Dr. Panchu served as an adjunct professor at Agassi University, National University, University of Redlands, and Antioch University. In addition to teaching, Dr. Panchu worked as a physiotherapist for persons suffering with a wide range of mental illnesses, as well as sex offenders and persons suffering with addictions. He is the founder of EMC Psychological Services, a company which provides coaching, psychological and consulting services in several disciplines. Dr. Panchu holds certifications as a certified clinical trauma professional, certified sex offender treatment professional, and drug and alcohol counselor. He loves traveling and public speaking, and he sees himself as a mentor and motivator. He lives by the principle that people can change for better through motivation, education, and skill development. Currently, Dr. Panchu serves as the consulting clinical psychologist with the Ministry of Social Development with specific responsibility for the Grand Bacolet Juvenile Rehabilitation Center. So that I've told you about his background, I'd like to say good morning to Dr. Gus Panchu.
Good morning, Brenda, and good morning, listeners. It's Happy New Year, right?
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
And it is an absolute pleasure to have you here. And I had to introduce you to let the folks know who you are.
Okay, thank you.
Good. So primarily, I wanted to invite you here this morning because being a kind of news and current affairs buff that I am, paying attention to things across the Caribbean in particular. In the last 3 weeks, from Christmas to now, there has been across the Caribbean, especially in Jamaica. As a matter of fact, to cite Jamaica is probably the best example for me to use, because in a matter of 3 weeks, there were 3 women murdered, and they were murdered by their partners. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to center the conversation around intimate partner violence and transactional relationships. I tie them together because they are two broad topics, I believe. You're the scientist, so you know that. They're two broad topics, but in the cases of the murders of these women and these intimate partner relationships that went wrong, they're linked. Mm-hmm. Yes, because in one case in Jamaica, the man literally said, well, I spent a lot of money and sent her to school, and now that she's gotten her degree, she thinks she's better than I am, and so she wanted to move on with her life, and so he decided that no, I spend money on you, so he snuffed her out. So that's what I want to focus on this morning. Especially the signs to look for. I want to talk to people here, especially those of us women, in Grenada. Now we look for the signs, we see the signs, and we also arm ourselves with knowledge as to what we should not, like behaviors we should not engender or accept.
Absolutely. So let's start. We talk about intimate partner violence. So let's establish what this is. This is any form of violence under coercion between romantic partners. And when we talk about transactional relationship, we are looking at relationships where the main purpose of the relationship is to establish material gain. That's what transactional relationships mean. I own you. It's really not a relationship about love and mutual respect. It's a relationship that says I own you. And transactional relationships operate on a principle called the principle or the law of scarcity, which means whatever quantity that is derived quantity gains that there is derived from the relationship, my half is always the bigger half. And you're never entitled to, you only get after I have satisfied myself, and or if I am in the mood to give to you. That's what transactional relationships are. And sometimes, a lot of times, people benefit from transactional relationship because they do not look at the other cost. They see the material gain. And I want to reference, you referenced Jamaica, and we'll come to some of that just now, but I want to reference right here in Grenada a very classic example, the death of Robbie and
Jeremiah.
Yes. That was a transactional relationship with Gilbert. He groomed her. She was 15 years old. She was a child. He groomed her. He provided for the family. He provided for her. And he used her.
Isn't that also what they deem, or you psychologists deem as a inequity of power?
Absolutely. She looked upon him for protection, and his response was to use her in a transactional way. And that's why her family, and I know you cringed, we cringed too, I cringed, that's why her family got benefits from the transaction, and they refused, they were blinded, and they couldn't acknowledge the danger of the relationship. This is a very powerful relationship, one where a clergy is involved, and sometimes teachers or doctors or people whom you are supposed to trust. The power that they exert on you is unbelievable. And so in this case, he exerted a lot of power in the relationship. And we know how it ended. It didn't end good for Grenada and the Caribbean. It never ends well. No. And I tell you something, Brenda. I since I'm not related to the police or investigation, we just had an incident in Grenada of the 16-year-old young lady who got shot. And I feel that relationship was a transactional one.
Well, let's see how that one will play.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 The dynamics and the risk factors of that kind of relationship, because that's what we want to delve into.
Yes.
The reason, and you've established beautifully what the intimate partner violence and the inequity of power and so on. And Robbie Ann is a classic case of that.
Yeah.
But the dynamics and the risk factors involved, and that's it. When it ends tragically, that's when it becomes known. Outside of that, you look on. But it seems like, okay, so once you're receiving, you're okay.
Yeah.
But you're not seeing the danger of when you are no longer interested in the person giving.
Yeah.
So that to me is a huge risk there.
Absolutely.
Right. So the dynamics of us, kind of like, hello.
Yeah, and I like when you introduce this topic. You introduce this topic, so we're looking at how can we prevent this, minimize it, mitigate against this happening to all the vulnerable young persons. One already, and it doesn't only happen to young person, the young person. It happens across the board, regardless of age and or gender, because transactional relationships make you believe that there is benefit in the relationship, and actually there are benefits. There are actually benefits that are derived from the relationship, whether it is monetary. And we all go into relationships. It doesn't matter whether it's marriage or business, whatever it is. Brenda, we go into relationships because we think that the other person is going to provide for us something that we want. That's bottom line. Even in marriages and in good marriages too, it doesn't matter. We think that the person is going to love us. We think that the person is going to be there for us. That's what we think. We want something.
The something is not always a superficial thing.
No, it doesn't have to be. However, in the transaction relationship, you may enter it thinking that the person is going to be there for you, but the person who is initiating and or controlling the relationship, and I'm going to use the word control a lot throughout, because that's what this is. This is what it is about, Brenda. You ask, because you alluded to the incident of the person who paid for, sent a person, and she is now educated. She becomes wiser. And she has now matured. You see, that's the point about maturity. As we grow, as we all get older, our brain become wiser. We become wiser. We mature. We make other choices. We evolve. And so what happens is that because now the person is threatened, that you are now getting some control in the relationship.
They're losing their power.
They are losing their power. And that is scary for them, because they always have power. They have whatever it is, drugs, they have sex, they have appetite, they have music, they have nice cars, they have big house, they give you vacation, they have money in the bank, whatever it is.
They look good to
They look good. Right. And the moment the other party in that transactional relationship resists the relationship and or become wiser and mature and is now in a position to assume some form of control, they feel threatened. And when you are threatened, if you are not wise, Brenda, you use violence.
If you are not wise, you use. Say that again.
Violence is systemic of very unwise people, People who lack negotiation skills, people who lack wisdom to compromise, people who lack understanding to walk away.
Something just went off in my head. So the personality type, and the characteristic of the individual, right? The individual that has a power in the intimate transactional relationship. That makes a lot of difference.
It does.
In terms of how it would end.
Absolutely, and all the time. All the time. All the time. Because in a transactional relationship, generally, the person initiating and controlling the relationship is very egocentric.
Yeah.
It's all about that person. In a mutually respectful relationship,
Mind you, let's just establish too. I just see somebody just pop with a little thing there for me.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. You know who you are. Let's just establish as well that transactional relationships and the whole power thing is not just men.
no,
Right.
absolutely.
The roles are reversed.
Ah, yes.
And there are some studies who cite women.
Yes.
They go a little further
Yes.
than men in terms of when it ends, because we are emotional beings.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we could tip the scale.
You scratch the cars and you burn the clothes. All right, somebody's listening. Yeah.
Scratch a car.
Yeah, we key the cars and we burn the clothes and we boil oil and water, whatever it is. Yeah, we do. Well, not we, but the ladies tend to go that way. Men usually use a lot of. They use weapons and they use their fist. That's men who are in transactional relationship and where it goes sour. They are coward men. Really they're very fragile men. Use violence on women. Yeah, they think that makes them macho, but they are really fragile. They're little boys hurting on the inside, and that's why they lash out in those ways. Yeah.
Is there any correlation to because there might be a school of thought where, in terms of the intimate partnerships and the transactions that go on. I mean, we say transactions because that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It sounds kind of cold.
Sometimes, yeah.
That's what it is. Because there's all sorts of transactions going on.
Yeah.
Does that have to do anything anywhere with how we are socialized, that men inherently, they're the stronger, they're the more dominant being,
and they are the providers,
right,
they're looked
take care
upon,
of the woman,
yes,
and so on.
Yeah.
Because I hear guy family members, other men say all the time, I want to be there for the person. And when they say I want to be there for the person,
that's what they mean.
Yeah, they're not just talking about love and support. They're talking about, listen, if the person gas finish, I want to
feed you, I want to clothe you, and that's what I want to do.
Right.
And really, I mean, this is just a very small part of a mutually respecting relationship. The provision of the material things and meeting the physiological needs. And that's a difference between a mutually respectful relationship where love is and mutual respect abides, as against a transactional relationship.
Right.
Because in a transaction, but listen, the signs are there for every transactional relationship.
What are some of them?
Listen, when a person wants to control your every movement, when they put boundaries and restrictions on whom and who you talk to and interact with, you have to start thinking, am I in a transactional relationship? When they decide when you get pregnant, how often you get pregnant, whether you go on birth control or not, start thinking a transactional relationship. Because during that time, they are trying to actually take away your control and power. So when someone wants to go through your cell phone because they are suspicious and read your mail because they are suspicious, start thinking, this may not be love, this may not be a mutually respectful relationship, but rather that may sound more like a transactional relationship. Yeah.
In terms of foundational, is there a biological or a biological, genetic, or is it just socialization?
No, both, Brenda. Both,
Okay.
yeah. The perpetrators of violence against anybody, or the angry, unresolved, angry person, may be biologically motivated as well as environmentally motivated. Yes, and I was doing a little reading in preparation for what we would talk about, and I was looking at the biological aspect. Some of the genetic disposition, in other words, what we got from our parents,
Right.
may have a predisposition for violence. And so we're talking now.
Isn't that why your great grandmother would tell you, Brenda, don't like that boy, he uncle the killer man.
Yes.
And he father before that the killer man. That kind of thing,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
yeah. And I tell you this. Listen, young people, women, men, boys, girls, listen to those warnings and look for them. If your father, if the father of your lover and the grandfather of your lover have had problems with the law, start thinking. You may need a psych assessment on this one. Now, not everyone turns out as
Right.
you don't have to be a
establish
chip of
that.
the old block. So that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But because there are people who have managed with a lot of effort and maturation to break the cycle.
Right.
And that's what we want to teach people, to empower people so that they can break the cycle. But some, genetically and environmentally, are unable to break the cycle. So they continue to perpetrate the same violence in intimate partner relationships. And these are the hard ones.
Right. Wow.
These are the hard ones.
I tell you. It's something else, because sometimes it is real, and when the heart wants what the heart wants,
Yep.
or even when the mind wants what the mind wants,
Yeah.
sometimes the heart is not in it, huh?
Yeah. Absolutely.
That we tend to ignore things,
Yeah.
but then you come back and you see it manifest, so you have to
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I guess it's really dynamic, this human life we live,
It is.
and just how
It is.
connected everything.
Yeah.
It's a chain of things.
And here is an interesting piece I want to add to the whole discussion. We have so many persons. I work in a position where I see a lot of evidence of intimate partner violence, domestic violence. It's the same thing, folks, that we refer
Yeah.
to as domestic
It's
violence.
domestic violence.
Yes. But you see so many, and you ask, why did she have to stay? Why she couldn't run away, or he couldn't run away? And I tell you, the dynamics is so intricate that sometimes it is impossible and or difficult. There is a phenomenon that we refer to in the field of psychology and sociology as the Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Where people fall in love with their abuser. And that was the premise. In fact, it was in a bank. That's how it started, in a bank for a couple of days. That some three of the ladies who were kidnapped and held hostage, one of them ended up marrying the kidnapper, and the three of them sought for funds to defend them in court. Because in 5 days, the brain had already accepted that this is what happened. They felt that because they were alive, because other people died, they were alive, that they owed their life to that person, to the point where they fell in love with them. Okay, and so come back now to our situation. In Grenada, we do have a domestic violence shelter, that is run. But you see it all the time. The ladies are taken, they go there for safety and safekeeping for a couple of days, maybe weeks, or maybe a couple of months, but then they return to the same situation, and nothing has changed about the power in that relationship. So we know that it's cyclical. They're going to come back again. And so we ask, why are they going there? Well, let me tell you a couple of reasons. One, intimate partner violence sometimes is predictable. Only on weekend you get your two slaps. No, I am not saying it to make fun of it.
No.
But you understand, I'm establishing
you're localizing
right.
it, yeah.
That's what I want you to say. You know, so the wife, the spouse, the other partner is probably saying, well, he only hits me or she only hits me on Friday evening. So they're prepared mentally. But during the week, he is loving, she is loving. She provides bread, butter, and milk, and the children are able to go to school. I have a safe place to go home at night. I have a bed to sleep. I have a TV to watch. I have a cell phone to call. So in their mind, all of those are okay, even though the violence is not, but they can settle for what is okay and what is not okay. They can settle for both. And that's what makes social workers and psychologists and mental health professionals and even medical professionals, that is part of the struggle that we have.
Well, law enforcement as well.
On a whole,
Because
yes.
the police would go to one house 40 times.
40 times a week. They will have restraining orders, and then they'll break the restraining orders to engage in the relationship. So sometimes when the police, they do not respond, you know, we castigate them, but they're saying, oh, come on.
Yeah,
We just went there last night, and you said everything is okay.
Because when the I mean, think about it. It is we first humans.
Yes.
So if I am the diarist, let's say I woke last night, right, and I was the diarist, and the phone come from the Panchu, the call come from the Panchu household. Mr. Panchu slap down your wife. All right. Who's calling? Waiting? What's your number? All right. Brenda enter it. She pass it on. The police gone out. 25 to 12 Thursday morning, I'm back on diary. Police station, good morning.
Yeah.
The Panchu household again.
Yeah.
The first response, before Brenda the diarist step in, Brenda the person will be like, well, them again?
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah.
And sometimes it depends on what's going on with Brenda, the person might say it loud.
Yeah.
Say, you again?
Yeah.
So, but then you're kind of like, you check yourself.
Yeah.
And then you're like, no, but Brenda, you're the diarist, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the Panchu household, okay, what's the address? Who's calling? What did you say? Your number, you're gone in now.
Yeah.
They're taking the information new all over again.
Yeah.
It is challenging.
It is challenging. It is challenging. And we had a classic case here recently. You know, I am trying to remember his first name, but his last name is Clark, the British guy who killed Montmorris.
Oh my goodness.
That was a case of intimate partner violence and a transactional relationship. You know, and look how it ended. It always ends bad. That was a very sad day for Grenada and the Caribbean again. Yeah, you know. And the signs were there. He sought to control her, whom she talked to, when she visited her relatives.
Her family.
Yeah, and that's what transactional relationships are.
Had a problem with her talking to her sister.
To sister, yeah. But luckily for her, well, there is no luck here, Brenda.
No,
it's kind of sad, huh?
She's gone.
She's gone. And she has a beautiful 7-year-old daughter now who witnessed that incident, that tragedy. It's not just an incident, but part of them finding, and probably finding, brought some closure to the family. A sad way was that she would sneak out and be able to contact the sister and the relatives. So that's why when they didn't hear from her a couple of days, they acted and they did the right. Otherwise, we would not have known. We would not have known. And so that's the empowerment we want to empower people. You know, listen, when he or she is telling you do not talk to X or Y, please reach out and talk to them.
Find a person.
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 Yeah.
Person may very well be a stranger stranger, but find a person.
Find a person, because that might just be a safeguard when danger is imminent. Yeah, you know.
Find a person.
Find a person. Find a person.
I know what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. So, some of the signs to look forward to, in addition to just the boundaries that they set with whom you talk to and the control that they want to exert on your life, you know, whether you get pregnant, where you go, what you wear, what you eat, what you cook in the house. The most transactional relationship, the person perpetrating that or controlling that always wants to have that kind of control.
For young people, though, because the one with the one in Jamaica with the and he was her supervisor. He was her supervisor at the workplace. There was not a huge disparity in age.
Yeah.
But he was her supervisor. You know, Jamaica. Iwi Mona is basically do a lot of so Jamaicans are always going to school, uplifting themselves and that kind of thing. So she decides, you know, it's a whole goods place kind of thing. So she wants to get. So he paid for that. I guess, you know, in a relationship, and she's saying, I want to better myself, whatever. And so she comes out and that's the thing. Is it kind of, and I've seen that happen here too. It don't always end like how Jamaica ended.
Right.
But in a case where especially when it comes to education.
Yes, Brenda.
Because you used the right term earlier. Once we step up in terms of education, we are empowered.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there are guys, you know, might be a guy who, you know, not a bad thing, but he's making money. And you may say, no, I want to do so and so. And he's like, yeah, I'll pay for it. But then he pays for it, and you come out of that, and money is no longer.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you are.
Yep, that's not the catch in the relationship.
Right.
That's not the catch in the relationship
so then
anymore.
He becomes less attractive.
Of course, it will become less
And
attractive.
you decide, no, I want to get a guy that's on same level with me. And it gets really bizarre.
It does, Brenda. And I tell you this that might sound very scary. And I do not want us to deter any young lady who wants to further their education, because I believe in the empowerment of people.
Absolutely.
Rising to the occasion,
Absolutely.
the best thought, the best education you can get, the best for yourself and for your family and for everybody that is around you. That is the goal. And that should be the emphasis and the thrust that we want to encourage young people and everybody else to do that. But I tell you something, what people don't understand is that, and maybe along as she's getting smarter and maturing and started to think, she should have engaged him. Maybe that may not have saved her, but engage him in probably bettering himself, coming along in school. Because let me tell you something, I am in a zone now. Listen, I'm in a zone where my critical thinking skills have been activated. And that's the catalyst for, I am seeing a vision, a bigger world now. And he or she may just be in the cocoon, in that small space, and wants to stay in that small space. And you can't, because it's going to make you very uncomfortable, Brenda. It is going to make you so uncomfortable that you are going to burst through.
But do we do that differently? That's what the gender come in here. Do we do that differently? Because when guys are, you know, going, you know, educating themselves, getting better at what they do, you know, getting, you know, and they have, let's say, a girl who's not at their level, like academically. Do they treat them different than a woman? Because a lot of men, no, seriously, men say that we show off. Yeah. Men say women tend to show off on them, because I guess that's a little ego speaking there. But
that's a little ego.
We have to listen though. Yeah. Because maybe, just maybe, and I'm asking you this, and no, seriously, because these days when you meet up couples that are having problems and even marriages and
Yeah.
divorces and so, a lot of men are saying, look, since she get a promotion at work, it's like she
Yeah.
better than me.
Yeah.
Since she get a degree from SGU, she get on as if she's the queen.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, she's a queen, but she is a queen. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
the question is though, what are we giving out, or what is a female giving out
I know what it is, Brenda.
that making the man feel like that?
Let me tell you.
Yeah, so tell me.
It's confidence. That's what it is, Brenda. Let
So
me.
you saying that men can't deal with
No, we can't. We can't take it.
Okay.
Listen, very few men, as against me, Brenda. That's the secret. I want my wife to always make more money than me because I like spending it. But here it is. Here it is. Many men, they can't take a woman having a bigger title or making more money than them. And listen, when a woman in Grenada or in the Caribbean, because there are so many avenues now for tertiary education, and women are embracing it. If you go down to SGU, the campus is filled with female, filled with female. Yeah, TAMCC filled with ladies going there trying to better themselves, right? And so when this happens, women become more confident. They walk upright. They drive now, Brenda. No longer are they depending on their husband or their partner to take them to town or around the island. That is a lot of confidence.
So then,
and we can handle that.
So conversely, do that make you less attractive? You know where I'm going.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going, right?
I don't know if it makes the woman. Oh, you're talking about the woman, eh? I don't know that it. No, in my
No,
for me.
Because
Yes.
because remember, if we are saying that, you know, the man, he doesn't want, you know, confident
Right.
kind of thing. So if you're assertive, you're confident, you're you're thinking you're on the ball, you got to be street smart too.
Yeah, you got to be street smart too.
If you all of that, then it's like,
Yeah,
I know now.
yeah.
I mean,
Right.
because the dominance that men always want to exert,
Yeah.
whether it be in thinking, whether it be in whatever,
Yeah.
you know, she's mine,
Yeah.
I gotta take care of that,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta do this, I gotta, you know,
Yeah.
so now you're like, no, I don't need that, we just need to
Yeah.
be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a conversation yesterday from cricket. Cricket is over. Western is last, right? So we're going out, and a young man is walking out with his lady, attractive young lady, and a guy sitting there, a little intoxicated, but he shouted to him.
Lord,
He said,
yes.
"Yeah." He said, "Your girl is really attractive," and so he got angry.
The guy walking?
Yeah. Well, he angry at the guy because he's thinking, why are you looking at my girl? But he says, I'm giving you a compliment because you're taking good care of her. And I immediately said, poor fellow. See what the concept, here's the concept, the same concept we're talking about. She is looking good because a man is taking care of her. And I don't know that that is true.
Right.
And I think he's assuming that.
That's what we do.
Right. So a woman can take care of herself
Absolutely.
and make herself
Absolutely.
into anything that she wants to. And that's the beauty of life.
Absolutely.
And that's what I like. And let me tell you something. For a lot of men, when that confidence really threatens them, it does. For some men, they like that. You know, the woman stepping up, stepping her game, and all of that. But there are many men, because that's what happens mostly in transactional relationship. Because now power is going to shift. And when power shifts, somebody else is taking control. In a mutually respectful relationship, some marriages, etc., the power remains the same. Yeah, it doesn't matter the earning power or the degree, the educational power. It remains the same because we are mutually respectful of each other
Well, that is in those types of
in those relationship and marriages.
Because
But
on the other side,
yes,
it gets very nasty.
very nasty.
Yeah.
Very nasty.
Yep.
Yeah, very nasty.
Someone is calling. Let's take a call. Folks, you can call in. So quite
Yeah.
Nicole is saying good morning. Nicole Pitt.
Hi, Nicole.
Morning. Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you, and good morning to your guests. I sit there and I looked at this, and it's like a big plate of oil down. I'm really enjoying this conversation. And I said, no, it's going too far. Let me interject. And very, very informative and very stimulating. But I think it teaches us here now, we don't own anybody. And in order to seek the right person, you have to be grounded. In other words, the importance of building, knowing what you want, but building for what you want. You don't step out there because you see something that you like and you just want to hold on it, and eventually you don't have the capacity to. And even though you can negotiate what you call a success get-together, it will somehow disintegrate. But you must make up your mind that if it happens, be a man. So you have to know yourself. Okay, you're ready to live? All right. I'll tell you, I give you some of the practicals. I could coach people into the practicals. Never hold back a person from living, but help them build. Make the person. But if they want to leave, you must be willing and ready to allow them to go. Be a man. Understand the rule and take it. Don't have what you call a hate for anybody. You never know what will happen. Down the road, you might end up having the same person based on your behavior and the treatment. So you will not go to the violence. You will not go to the beating. But you allow the person to go joyful and happy and say, well, look, he's the one who did that for me, and I have some gratitude. I have to be grateful too. And we have to start building men, letting them know that not because they see somebody that you got to grab them. You got to ground yourself first, knowing what you want, how you're going to achieve it, and take that step before you look for somebody. Because most of the time, we spoil the best person, and you spoil yourself from being the best person. Have a great day.
Very profound. Yeah, that is some profound statement. Thank you, Carla, for interjecting that, because really and truly, Brenda, I say this here, and some people may be surprised by what I am going to utter. Yeah, in some sometimes we outgrow relationships.
Yeah.
All the time we outgrow relationships.
All types of relationships.
All types, including marriages,
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And the Judo-Christian people now are going to knock at me because this is, we can't understand it, and sometimes we force people to stay in marriages, and it's to stay in hell. Seriously. And so it's in all relationships, and we don't want people to outgrow relationships necessarily. Now, if it is a bad relationship, if it is a controlling relationship, it's an unhealthy relationship, you need to run away from the relationship. But we're not promoting the dissolution of marriage or the concept. No, that's not what we're saying.
Or the sacrament.
Or the sacrament of marriage. No, that is still holy, it's still biblical, it's still good.
But we are human beings. Whatever the changes that are happening, we need to address.
Yes, and if even in a marriage, if there is violence and abuse in the relationship, you better run.
I am thinking that, and this could be controversial, but I am thinking that, because I'm not married and I don't know a thing about marriage, but I am thinking that because of the structure of the marriage, or socialization in terms of male dominance and so on, that in a marriage there's even a greater propensity for that kind of control.
Yeah.
Because therein, the ultimate act of marriage gives a man, let's say, ownership of the female.
Yep.
So even I think in that construct, because
Yeah.
some males, that's all they think about.
Yeah.
You're my wife, you're my property.
That's it.
And so I think there's a larger propensity for that kind of that ownership syndrome, that control
Yeah.
syndrome to exist. But before you leave, because you have to come back, there's so many other
Yeah.
things we need to examine about this, because this would help in how we treat our relationships and each other.
Absolutely.
And minimize all that, when things go bad, a woman is killed and all of that sort
Yeah.
of thing. When the violence, when it gets to violence and it ends tragically, or even if it doesn't end tragically, even
Yeah.
if, why is it? What is it in us that immediately we go to the person who is the victim? Immediately we start
Yeah.
looking for reasons
Yeah.
to ascribe,
Yeah.
that they set it up.
Yeah.
So that's why the person had to do them that.
Yeah.
What is it in us? What is it?
Yeah.
That troubles me a lot.
And I am glad it's troubling you so that we could talk more about it, because this is the whole socialization we're talking about, Brenda, where in most relationships, intimate relationships, the male is a dominant person. Here, the control piece, Brenda, is that we make excuses, and I could tell you where it started. You remember the story of Genesis when the Bible says that Adam and Eve ate the fruit, and when God came looking for them and he called out, Adam said, "We heard your voice, but we were afraid." And he said, "Did you eat of the fruit?" And Adam straightway said, nobody told him to say it, "The woman you gave to me, she made me eat." And then
strong correlation there.
no, that's where it started.
Yeah.
That's where it started.
Yeah.
The victim.
Wow.
We tend to blame the victim. It is the victim's responsibility.
So here now, to make a joke, we woman, we kind of born unlucky then.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the Christian world has taught that. Now, the Muslim world has taken it way out of proportion. But the Christian world is no far different, Brenda. No, because they quote for you, "Wives submit." Read the word submit, what it says.
But you see, they stop at submit.
Yeah.
They don't go
When there are other pieces.
prelude.
No, we don't.
They stop at submit.
Yeah.
Because it suits the narrative.
Yeah, it does. It does. So, here we are.
You gotta come back.
I will
Here
always.
we gotta say goodbye. We actually, you have to come back because we really have to explore this a little more, and we also have to look at more important, like in our case, because I was looking at a Facebook Live with some Jamaicans who was in law enforcement, who was in social work,
Yeah.
and they were just talking casually, not casually, but just having a conversation about this thing to kind of edify people. And really and truly, what is happening there is that social and historical norms is not in line with what they need to address
Yeah.
to kind of fix the problem. And that is Jamaica, and I'm sure
It's
is
probably
Grenada
here
as
too.
well.
Yeah.
So we need to continue to, because it is happening.
Yeah.
It is happening. And one thing I take heart in is that when things happen in Grenada, everybody gets really worked up.
We do.
People might say, "Oh, it's only when things happen we get," but I like the fact that we still get angry.
Yes.
Because if we notice, there are societies where people are no longer getting angry, and so it has just become like sport.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I still like the fact that people are angry.
And we are supposed to.
People are worked up.
Yeah.
People are incensed by these things when
Yeah.
it happen. I take heart in that.
Yes.
I really take heart in
Yeah.
that. What I want us to do more, though, is to bring things to the attention of law enforcement and people who can help.
Yeah.
So you're seeing it going on next door.
Yeah.
Don't wait till I have to say, "Oh, I used to see her sneaking in the house."
Yeah.
"Oh, I used to."
Yeah.
Well, you're an accessory to the thing.
More or less, you are.
So-
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah.
But Dr. Pancho, thank you so very much.
It's a pleasure.
Oh
It's my
God.
pleasure. It's
Thank
my
you so very
pleasure.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much. I just trust that whatever you planted on the head and the hearts of folks out there this morning, we continue the conversation. The phone is ringing, but yeah, we'll soon. He'll come back soon. He's gonna come back soon. So we're gonna take
Yes.
we're gonna continue that on that topic.
Yes, we could.
Because there are
Yeah.
other layers to explore.
Definitely so.
And people may want to ask questions about things that are happening.
Yeah.
So we are going to do that. Thank you so much again.
You're welcome.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Anything you want to leave with the audience?
Be careful. Relationships. Be careful in relationships. And when you start questioning a relationship, seek guidance. Anytime you start questioning the validity of a relationship or whatever is going on in the relationship, your heart is in the right place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks. This has been the second hour of the Mid-Morning Buzz. We engage clinical psychologist Dr. Augustine Pancho, and this morning we were addressing intimate partner violence and transactional relationships. We shall continue that conversation when next you see him with me. Have a good day. Stay tuned. The news up next. And the transactional relationship.